Go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels. My guest tonight, returning to the show, is Mr. Jeremy Whitley. How's it going, Jeremy?
Going great. How are you?
I am well. Tonight, you're representing Lifeline Comics and Aces and Aros, an asexual and aromantic comic book anthology. I know you've been excited about this project for a while because I remember when you sent out the email, hey, do you know anybody who might want to contribute to this project? That I immediately forwarded on to a few people. Um,
Nice.
so tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me
Yeah.
about the project, what excites you about it, that sort of thing.
So Lifeline Comics, for people who aren't familiar, they do a bunch of anthology style comics like this. Their first one was By Visibility, which was a big bisexual comic, big, anthology piece where they accepted a lot of submissions from people about their own experiences as well as other types of stories about, bisexual characters, people, situations, things like that. And so they've done several of these. Meanwhile, I came out as demisexual, as on a spectrum myself, and ended up doing a story for Marvel Comics with Gwenpool, where she came out as being ace. Um, and so sort of put myself in a position of being a person that was talking about being ace a lot in comics. And when they were looking for somebody to help them with doing a anthology that centered asexual and aromantic people, Kat, who I already knew from other comic stuff, hit me up and asked if I'd be interested in, editing and contributing to this, and I was absolutely thrilled to do that. Because, that had been a great experience for me with Gwenpool, having that very unusual experience of having a lot of other people who were on the, ace spectrum all working on the same project, and being able to do that for, something this big and give that same experience to a lot of other people was a really incredible thing to get to do for me, and I jumped at the chance right away.
Mhm. Um, I'm gonna start with the awkward question because I'm just old enough and just autistic enough that I'm okay to, well, not just I'm autistic. Uh I'm okay
Just
off
autistic
asking.
enough.
I'm okay uh asking the awkward questions, and like I'm also really aware of how much for my generation and older, a lot of times like the more we learn the I don't want to call it newer because I know that lots of the language has been around and it's just been underground or whatever you want to call it. But as we learn language, we go, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, right off the top, I'm going to say, give me some definitions to any words that feel worth defining in the ways that you would like to define them.
Yeah. So, I mean, strictly speaking, asexual means, somebody who doesn't experience sexual attraction. Aromantic means somebody that doesn't experience romantic attraction or romantic feelings. Uh, but both of these have become sort of umbrella terms, in that, asexuality, the asexual umbrella, or people will call it the asexual spectrum. You'll also hear people say ace spec or a spec. Uh, Covers a whole variety of folks who experience sexual attraction differently, I would say, um, from what is generally referred to as allosexual people, people who experience it in the way that people generally know about it and see it on TV. Um, that being, everything from there are, people who are repulsed by sex, people who are indifferent to sex, people who, if they are in sort of the gray asexual area in some cases, are interested and sometimes are not. It goes back and forth. It's more of a fluid sort of situation, which might be, have sort of strict boundaries or rules, things that have to be in place already. Demisexual which is what I am, are people who uh, don't generally experience sexual attraction at on a sight level. So like love at first sight is not really a thing for me. But have that sort of uh, attraction that can grow over time, when you have a bond with a person, when you know them well, when you have whether it be a connection that's emotional or spiritual or whatever, that is an attraction that can grow over time with that. So Demi sort of half doesn't entirely fit but that's the
Right.
word that has been chosen.
No, that makes sense. Or at least I always say it makes sense. I'm sitting there going, it's more accurate to say it's making sense
Yeah.
because I don't know. It takes a while for it to make sense. I feel like I have to ask forgiveness from young people on a regular basis because the things that are just normal to them, I'm sitting there going, it's really not that I don't approve. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you're saying.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think it's a thing that's been going on for a long time. I think
Right.
even within different parts of the asexual spectrum, there are a lot of I don't I don't want to say like specialized, but more sort of boutique sort of definitions of, uh what people's sexualities are, what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. But I think, it's really no different from if you go back now and watch movies from the 90s, if you watch things like, Bound or Chasing Amy, it's like you just keep waiting for somebody to say the word bisexual and nobody does. Um,
Right.
and they're just like, oh, did they just not, was that not a thing that people said or knew people were at that point? Um,
I mean, frankly, having been alive in that era, it was an era where it was okay for people to say the words, no, bisexual is just licensed to cheat. Because it means,
yeah,
oh, I'm with you and you're a guy, but I'm bisexual. So if I'm with a girl, that's not. And I know that that's not true, but that's
yeah,
that's part of why it wasn't being said at the time. Because and it's something that I think about a lot I mean, with autism, because, when I was young, I wasn't diagnosed as autistic because I could speak, and autism didn't include non-speakers or speakers
yeah.
yet. And then when I was in high school, I couldn't be autistic because I was smart, and it didn't include smart people yet. Um, and now I'm autistic because, 10 years ago they finally upgraded the criteria to allow me to be so. Um, and it gives me a deeper understanding. So I mean, that's kind of the lens that I see this all through, and why I love books like this, and the quick and easy guides that is it who's been putting out the quick and easy guides? Why am I drawing a blank on my publisher right now?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. Um,
I'll know soon. We've got this thing called Google.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing is true as like you were saying with autism for me with ADHD. It's like
Yeah.
that sort of runs in my family, and my brother and my mother are both very easily diagnosed with it because they're both the sort of version of it we're used to seeing in the media where, they're very easily distracted. They go from
Right.
one thing to another. They'll have started 10 things in an hour, but they won't have finished any of them. Whereas like my version of that is much more the like hyper focus version where,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
will I will go to my office and just write for 8 hours and you won't see me
Yep.
or hear from me and if I don't get it done, then I'm just going to be in a foul mood for the rest of the day.
Or if I fall down that Wikipedia rabbit hole, it's not like a basic Wikipedia rabbit hole. It's like I have 30 tabs open at a time Wikipedia
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I
That
get that.
happens to me all
That's
the time with writing. It's like I'll be trying to find one bit of information and I'll, open the right website and it's like, oh, but also I need to know this and this is interesting and why don't I can include
yeah,
this
no,
detail in the story.
my half joke, but only half joke because it's also very much reality for why I don't have a college degree is, well, you know those 7-page papers you were supposed to write and cite like 5 sources and how you read 6 sources and then synthesize them to make your paper? Uh, every source I read led me to 10 more, led me to 10 more, led me to 10 more. Eventually, I'd read, upwards of 30,000 pages, and I had half an hour to start writing the paper.
Yeah, but that's just a dissertation. Once you're trying to get your doctorate, that's exactly what they want you to do.
Well, yes, but this was for English 101.
Yeah, that's English 101. They're like, oh, that's way too much. Scale it back. Yeah, but my wife is working on her dissertation right now, and they're like, have you done an exhaustive search in bibliography? It's
Right.
like, everything she looks up, it's like, oh, this person cites this person, so now I have to go
Yep.
read this paper.
Yep. Yep. And that's like just how I go naturally.
Yeah,
You put hot links in a news article and I want to go read all of them.
yeah.
All of them. I don't always. I sometimes it's actually why I have my trusted set of journalists because where I really want to read all of them is if I haven't decided yet that you read all of them. Because every once in a while you'll click on the link and you'll go, this is not how this was cited. This
Yeah.
says this, and they said that. Um, but yeah, no, back to the actual point. That's what I really appreciate. And it's Oni Press that does the quick and easy guides. But it's what I really appreciate about these, about the Marvel Pride books, about you know, uh, anthologies on themes that are important. But and again, I don't like calling them new, but sometimes the language is new,
Hmm.
or at least new to a lot of people, are really important because language, whether we realize it or not, is such an important part of understanding anything. I've had I hate it when I can't remember names. I've had oh, I'll come up with her name in a minute. I've had a Jenny Wood on a couple of times, and it's like she figured out she was a lesbian when she figured, or they figured out that they were lesbian when they figured out that they were lesbians. And that then they learned about asexual and they're like, oh no, that's what I am. But it's like
Yeah.
decades apart. And they didn't even have the language for it. So it's like they lived in this label that wasn't quite comfortable, but it was more comfortable. But until they came across that label that was comfortable, like they always felt a little bit off.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I've talked about, for years, I just sort of like define myself a little bit as sort of like queer. Like I'm in there somewhere. I don't, have the words for it, but what these other people are describing doesn't feel quite right to me. Um, and then like, it's such an interesting thing of being a writer, and we're talking about going down rabbit holes and things where like I was working on Raven Pirate Princess, which is one of my creator-owned books.
yes,
It's a spin-off
so
of
good.
Princess. Oh, thank you.
Also so good.
And I wanted to have that whole crew be a variety of different types of queer, different types of, sexualities and stories. And so I started researching and I hit demisexuality and I was like, yeah, but isn't that just everybody? And to my surprise, the answer is no, it
Yeah.
isn't.
Well,
It's
and
me though.
that's actually the really weird thing is like I to a certain extent generally don't care too much about adopting a lot of the labels because I mean, and part of this is that like as a uh, as somebody who at least presents as a cis white man and doesn't mind presenting as a cis white man, it's like I doesn't matter in my life. So I'm not saying that people who the labels matter for, they shouldn't matter for, because Like
Yeah.
whatever matters to you matters to you. There are a lot of things that matter to me. um, but what it is always helpful for me is like, oh, this way that I thought I was just like everybody else, I'm not just like everybody else, and that explains so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to me because I've sort of got this history of writing about queer characters, especially queer women, in stories, and people have often asked me like, why? Like, why aren't you writing about a bunch of, straight cis white guys? And I'm like, well, I don't feel connected to those guys. Like, that's not my experience, even if it is, even if it has been a lot of times like the labels that people would
That
would put on me
they're
or that I
kind of
would use.
jerks.
Yeah, and it's like the things that they're saying that they want, that's not relatable to me, even
Right.
if, I don't identify as trans or I think demisexuality is an interesting thing just because like a very small percentage of the people who are identified or have been identified as demisexual are male. And I think a lot of that is just to do with the fact that men generally are not encouraged to make emotional connections with other people.
No.
Uh,
No, no.
so
No, no.
like,
Emotions, men, what?
yeah. So
It's
I
not supposed to
mean,
be in our vocabulary.
yeah, so to me, like reading stories about queer women or with queer female protagonists, or even just female protagonists, where these relationships and these stories felt a lot more like what I personally felt I was experiencing. Um, you know, always were the stories that interested me. Those were the kind of stories that I wanted to read, and so the ones that I wanted to tell. And I think that goes sort of hand in hand with how I identify and with the ways in which it's different from the ways that I have often been identified.
Yeah. Um, just pulled up Lifeline's catalog because it occurred to me that I should have done that earlier.
Well, they've got some great other stuff. They did
Yeah,
just
the Witches
one.
of Oz with a Terry Moore cover. Love Terry.
Yep, Terry's fantastic. He's one
He
of my
is. He's amazing.
favorite cartoonists.
He's also a very, very kind man.
Yeah,
I
I've been
enjoy
on a couple
talking to him.
panels with Terry, and it's always wonderful.
Yeah, he's been kind enough to join us a couple of times, and yes, it's so wonderful. Um, have you done any work with them before, or have you just
This is my
Lifeline
first time
before?
working with Lifeline. Um,
Okay.
But
Did you?
I have known Kat for quite a while because Kat started out as a comics critic, um, and then started writing her own stuff and then doing these anthologies. And uh, I got to know Phil through the company and then through working on this anthology a lot more.
Okay. Now there's the By Visibility, the Slice of Life season one, Haunting. Look like our other titles,
Yeah,
at least as of now.
they did. I think two of the more successful recent ones. They did a Transphoria anthology, which is all sort of trans stories,
Okay.
and then they did a Hairology, which is all stories about hair and culture and all the stuff surrounding hair.
Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing that now.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, all of them are
But
wonderful. I think it's been an interesting perspective. Like this is my first time really editing anything, not to mention an anthology, anything that wasn't mine at least. Um, so like being on this side of it and getting to read all of these entries that came in and like trying to figure a way to whittle that down to a manageable number of teams and pages and stuff was it was really incredible because they get these huge turnarounds of people who are so excited about doing stuff, and there's so many good stories that it was just like it ended up
Did
being
did
the
did you want to make it 1,000-page anthology?
oh, I would have it would still be going on if it were up to me. That's the real trouble because I think even as this anthology has been being funded, I've had a lot of people like hit me up and be like, "Hey, I didn't know that this was going on. Are you guys doing another one?" It's like I hope so. I mean, this one has been very successful so far. I'd love to do another anthology like this, and I know there are a lot more people interested in submitting stuff.
You did a story for it?
I did.
You want to tease it?
Yeah, it was interesting because reading through all the stuff that was submitted before I wrote my own, I had some like ideas of things I thought I would want to do. Um, there's such a wide variety of fantasy and sci-fi and all types of other stories we can do in here. Um, and so much of it was covered by this amazing stuff that was submitted and accepted to the anthology. Um, so I was looking at it and I was like, well, I have this sort of unique experience in writing a story with an all ace team and getting this um, all together. So I feel like we're in a unique area where I pulled in my team that I worked on Gwenpool with at Marvel, and got them to work on this with me. And basically, we're telling a little bit of our origin stories and a little bit of the story of all of us working together on this story about a character coming out as Ace, and sort of the feeling of um, I would write something and then I would get sort of these responses from the rest of the team that were like, "Oh, I never really identified that as an ace thing," or "I'm in this picture and I don't like it," or all these various other responses. And it's the first time of really being in that creative space with a group of people who have this similar thing going on, and just having this the first time that we sat down and we're like, "Oh, all these things are similar," and like we hadn't really thought about it and hadn't really worked out that they were necessarily connected to this one thing that was the same about all of us. And what a cool experience that was to just be in a room of people who are like-minded in a way that you didn't know you were missing. Um, so we get to do that, and we get to do sort of the story is just called Introduction, because it introduces us, but it also introduces sort of the concept, like you were saying, of asexuality and sort of the spectrum and umbrella, so that it's sort of a soft launch into the rest of the book, but also gets we get to include some of ourselves in there as well. So
Did you get to also play Crypt Keeper? I'm reading your bio here, which by the way, since you're a co-editor, you should probably fix it. It says you co-host a movie about horror movies and progressive
oh no.
politics called Progressively Horrified. I'm assuming that's a podcast.
Yes, it is a movie podcast about horror movies and progressive politics. I'd love to host
Um,
a movie. I don't know how one does that.
well, only
Yeah,
co-hosts. You can co-host a movie.
yeah, co-host it with the movie. Uh, but yeah, I actually appear in the comic, as do Bailey and Kelly, who are my artist and colorist. Um, so it's now my I'm now my own avatar and everything. So it's like, I'm a
Very
comic book
cool.
character now. So the
And is
slow
somebody into
transition.
Jeff
Well, yeah,
or just sharks?
it's because we were doing a Gwenpool thing, but we can't say
Okay.
Gwenpool in a story that's not a Marvel story. So
Right.
Bailey's holding a katana, and Kelly has a little shark there.
Yeah. Not a land shark. It's definitely not Jeff.
No, definitely not
Though,
Jeff.
though I know Kelly Thompson. She would actually probably be tickled pink if it
Oh
was
yeah.
Jeff. She loves seeing Jeff in the wild.
Oh yeah. I love Kelly. Kelly's great, and
Kelly's amazing.
yeah, she's one of those people that I've at this point known my entire career. Like she was working at Comic Book Resources when Princeless came out and did a whole interview about that being my sort of like first book. Um, And then she just strapped a rocket to her back and took off.
And now she's up for all the Eisners again.
Yeah, deservedly
Um,
so.
absolutely, absolutely. I love, love, love her work. Um, and actually, like, you just put it in my head that she's on that list of people that I've been meaning to reach out to since the Eisner nominations and haven't gotten around to reaching out to. Just a year at 1,000 backers, by the way. Um,
Hey, we did it. 1,000 backers. Brr, 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 brr.
um, but but everybody that I reached out to has been saying yes. So it's like, oh, okay, let me let the scheduling settle and then I'll write to Kelly. Um, but yeah, no, that sounds, I mean, I always like it when there's a good introductory story. So I think you missed the boat and not making yourself a crypt keeper. You could have plugged your podcast at the same time. Um, I mean, your podcast is probably way more popular than my podcast, but I've learned that like one should try to plug their podcast from time to time, otherwise nobody listens. Or something. I don't know. Hi,
Yeah,
mom.
it's a funny
Mom's listening.
thing. Oh, my mom does not listen to mine at all. We say all the bad words and we talk about scary movies, which she doesn't like. So, it's very
That
anti
might
my mom
actually be
podcast.
why I might not listen to yours. I can do horror and comics. I learned. I had to learn that. I avoided horror and comics too for a long time because I can't do horror in prose and I can't do horror in movies. But my son is crazy about horror. So like I kept trying to like bond with him and he's like, "Oh, I think you'll like Saw." And I'm like, "No, I won't." But it's
No.
political. I'm like, "I don't care."
Yeah, I think it actually I mean for what it's worth, my wife is not a huge horror fan, and I think she sort of appreciates the podcast because she gets to learn what's in the movies that she doesn't
I
want to
could see
watch.
that. That's possible. I could see that. So you've convinced me. I may have to give it a listen at some point.
And you get to ask
Particularly
us,
the next time my son's really going nuts about a movie, I'll have to go see if you've talked about it.
yeah, and you get to hear us ask fun questions like, is Jaws progressive? Is Alien feminist? Like,
Mhm.
lots of
Maybe on the first one, probably on the second.
yeah, we talked about Jaws a lot. I think we where we came down is Jaws is definitely anti-capitalist. Beyond
Yes.
that, it's hard to say for sure.
Right.
It
Right.
is not
There is a
particularly
difference between
feminist.
progressive and anti-capitalist.
Yeah, it is definitely more feminist than the book on which Jaws is based, but it is not particularly feminist.
I barely remember women in Jaws other than screaming on the beach.
There are wives and mothers and a naked swimmer at the beginning. That's basically how Jaws goes.
Yes, that would I think not do any of the wives and mothers talk to each other not about men on the boat.
I don't think so. No.
So it doesn't pass the Bechdel
No,
test.
it does not pass the Bechdel test.
And that seems like the absolute bare minimum before you can even think about calling yourself feminist. Which,
Yeah.
in that sense, it might be hard to call Alien feminist, but since the only real character is a badass woman.
Well, Alien has two badass women.
Okay.
Aliens has two badass women, one of them in brownface, but you know, they consistently have, with the exception of three, which takes place inside a men's prison, two women in the cast at least.
Okay. I've only actually seen the first one because, again, the horror thing.
It's Jadzia Axelrod has this theory that each alien movie is about a different sexuality.
Okay. Okay. That's that's a theory. I don't know enough to refute it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say it's a good theory.
Hey.
So since we accidentally drifted into the horror movie podcast, what's your favorite horror movie for my son if he decides to listen? And if it's different, the most fun one to talk about.
Ooh. Um, that's tough because the ones I like the most are not necessarily the most fun to talk about.
Well,
Um,
and that's why I said if
because
it's different. First,
yeah,
tell me
because
the one you like the most, and then tell me the one you like to talk about the most.
I've I'm gonna have to give it some time to figure out because I think up to this year, The Babadook has been my favorite horror movie of all time. But Sinners definitely gives it a run for its money.
See,
Um,
that's one that I actually want to see.
Sinners is very good and like it has so much to it. It's so compelling and complicated and different. Like I highly recommend Sinners.
No,
Um,
I mean, A, I know it has a killer soundtrack.
oh yeah,
B, I had Joe Illidge and Marcus Kwame Anderson like
love those guys.
stop talking about Milestone for 20 minutes while they were talking about Sinners on our Milestone Book Club podcast. So
Yeah, that's
that's
I
that
can fully
that's
understand that. Yeah, I saw
that's
it this
that's
summer
the
with my
seller
wife.
for me.
I think I cried 3 times during that horror movie, and then her and I just basically like went to dinner and just talked about it for like 2 hours afterwards because there was just like that much coming out of it to talk about. Um, it's incredible. As far as my favorite ones to talk about, I think a lot of times they're the dumbest ones. There's
Okay.
so much to talk about with like M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. Um, that movie's so dumb that I could talk about it for hours because the plot makes no sense. Everything about it is absolutely insane. Um, I could go on and on.
Hey,
And
it gets a
have
whole 2.6 at Letterboxd, 5.8 at IMDb. Those are good scores, right?
for M. Night Shyamalan, they're not bad. I mean, it's
Isn't
certainly
isn't this the guy that
happening.
was supposed to have been a genius at one point? I
Hey,
mean,
he's got a
he
lot of ideas.
he made She's All That.
Did he?
And he
He made The
ghost
Sixth
wrote it.
Sense. Oh, okay.
He
Yeah,
ghost wrote it. He did.
that's interesting. Yeah, The Sixth Sense is great. I think there are a couple of other decent Shyamalan movies. The Visit is pretty good.
See,
But
I
there are a lot
actually
more worse ones.
recently saw The Sixth Sense for the first time because I kind of avoided it the entire time. It was everybody's favorite movie.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it didn't do a lot for me.
Ah, you already know so much about it going in at this point that like
Well, that's true, but I didn't actually feel like those were my problems with it. Though
mm,
I did actually just figure out, I mean, I do like Unbreakable, but I did just figure out the screenplay of his that I like the most. Did you
what's that?
know that he wrote Stuart Little?
I did know that. That's wild. It's a wild fact. But yeah, I did know that.
So that is officially my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, Stuart Little.
Uh, I can tell you my least favorite is Old. Old is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's
I,
so long and it's so
I,
bad.
I mean, the M. Night Shyamalan movies that I've seen, and now I'm actually wondering because he's not actually maybe I need to look somewhere else. He's not listed as a writer on it on his IMDb page, so I wonder if it's like deep um ghost written for She's All That. But the only M. Night Shyamalan movies I've actually seen are Unbreakable Sixth Sense and Stuart Little. The other ones just never appealed to me.
I mean, those might be the best ones. I would highly recommend Trap. It's not a horror movie
Wait a
in
minute. You
that
would highly recommend Trap. You were just saying how bad it
it's so
was.
stupid. Um, it's a good time to watch. Don't watch it by yourself. Watch it with a group of people because you're gonna want somebody
See,
to look at and go,
okay,
"What?"
see, now you're like you're talking about two things that make me uncomfortable: watching horror type movies and groups of people.
Well, it can be a small group of people. You can be, your your immediate family, but you're definitely going to want somebody to look at when any part of this plot is revealed and just go, "Wait, what?" It is a movie about uh, a dad who takes his daughter to a concert, and it turns out the concert is an part of the concert is an elaborate trap to find a serial killer who also turns out to be him. Um, he is at this concert, and they know that the serial killer somehow they know that the serial killer is at this concert, and so they are trying various methods to track him down and find out who this serial
Does
killer
he
is.
elude the trap because he's there with his daughter and they figured that no serial killer would possibly be at a concert with his daughter?
No.
Okay, because if that was the M. Night Shyamalan twist, then I would already know and there would be no point in watching it.
Yeah, you find that out about the main character played by Josh Hartnett in the first 10 minutes of the movie that he's the killer. Um, I think that's the only thing that's a real twist, other than you can't possibly see what's coming next because it all makes no sense.
I mean, that's a form of twisting.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
I guess.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we did a whole episode on Trapped recently, and yeah, I could talk about that movie. Have talked about that movie for hours. It's so dumb.
So talking about the dumb ones is the more fun, is what you're saying, which I guess I get. My family gets together once a week. We watch the movie during the week, but then we get together and talk about it on Zoom. And I know that there are a couple of family members that when it's their time to pick out a movie, almost deliberately pick out the dumb ones because they think it'll make better conversations. Um, and
Yeah,
it does sometimes.
the dumb ones and the hidden gems. I love finding a hidden gem. We've hit on some weird Canadian and Australian horror movies. Um,
Uh, I may have watched the a mixture of the two right before I came on with you, because I'd never heard of it before, and Gilbert Hernandez does not steer me badly very often,
mhm.
and neither does Harvey Kurtzman. And when I was talking to Gilbert, he told me that Harvey Kurtzman wrote the screenplay for a Rankin Bass movie called Mad Monster Party,
I've never
which
seen Mad Monster Party.
I had not either. And I think I would describe it as like Batman 66 meets um oh, I had it earlier. Oh, Universal Monsters meets Batman 66 meets early James Bond.
Okay, so very campy.
It in claymation.
All right. That sounds like a good time. I'll have to check that out.
It was actually. I it's strange. But
Boris
I
Karloff.
yep. And Phyllis Diller.
All right. Streaming on Plex.
Uh, and on sale at that horrible site that also has lots of movies for streaming. Um,
Yes, the Bad Book website.
right. Well, I mean, when it was a book website, it was a good book website, but it's become something else now.
Yes. Some kind of monster.
Oh yeah, like all of the monsters that weren't in public domain, they had to rename. So it's not Frankenstein, it's like Fang, I think, because that's what Phyllis Diller called her husband in her stand-up routine. And um, rather than Quasimodo, it was the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I think they called King Kong it. Got to keep the costs down. But it was entertaining. I did I did
Sounds good.
actually I did actually dig it, but I think it falls into the I don't know whether I liked it because it was good. I mean, I don't actually think that it was bad, but I've always had
Yeah.
a soft spot for Rankin Bass too.
Yeah.
Um, and
You
you
know,
can kind
there's
of feel the Kurtzman. I
in
like my
between good and
Kurtzman.
bad, there's a wide swath of camp. You know, we
Yeah,
just
entertaining.
yeah, we've talked about Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is sort of horror adjacent, but not
Right.
scary.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
it's got the word right in the title.
yeah, we talked about we recently talked about the John Waters movie Serial Mom, which is about a serial
Okay.
killer, but is not a scary movie.
Right.
Yeah, and is
Those
is
are fun.
very campy. Yeah.
I think I'm trying to remember. I know that used to be on HBO all the time when I was a kid, and I'm trying to remember if I've watched it. It's 94. Kathleen Turner.
Oh yeah. Kathleen Turner is wonderful in this movie.
Kathleen Turner is often wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, I might have to might and Patty Hearst.
Yep.
At first, I thought it was Patty Hearst as a character, and then I'm like, no, no, wait a minute, that's Patty Hearst as juror number 8.
Yeah, she is playing unnamed juror number 8. But yeah,
Right.
it's got Kathleen
Okay.
Turner, Sam Waterston, Ricky Lake, Suzanne
Yeah.
Summers is in it, briefly playing Suzanne Summers. Um,
See, you guys are supposed to be selling me on comic books, and this is 2 comic podcasts in a row where I've been talking to people who've sold me on as many movies to watch as comics to read.
well, while you're waiting for, this anthology to be done after you back it, then you can go watch all these
Well,
movies.
I do have other comics to read as well. Speaking of which, do you have anything in the pipeline right now that you're allowed to talk about?
Uh, that I'm allowed to talk about. Always things in the pipeline.
Right.
I have a Marvel project that hasn't been announced yet, but is upcoming. So people should hear about that fairly soon, I think. Um, depending on what the state of previews is in the next couple
Right.
of months. Um,
Well, I
but
mean, PRH is on top of things.
yeah.
They
Well,
have
we
their own
are.
catalog. I stopped looking at the Diamond Previews catalog like 6 months ago.
Yeah. Um, Well, we are working on the sequel to the Dog Knight, my middle
Okay.
grades fantasy adventure story. So the second one of those should be coming out. Myself and Jamie Noguchi are actually working on the third School for Extraterrestrial Girls book. Um,
Those I've loved, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
yeah,
I will admit that I have not read Dog Night yet. That flew under my radar, so I'll fix that. I always do
yeah.
with your books.
Thank
Who
you.
did that come out through?
That is through Macmillan.
Oh,
Yep.
that's how it flew under my radar, is that some of the some of the book publishers that do graphic novels aren't as good at putting them together in places for people like me to go, oh, this is on its way, or at least
Yep.
I haven't figured it out. Because we try very hard to plug, oh, this is new to order, this is final order cutoff. And then, like, every week there's something that's, I had no idea that this was coming out, but it was amazing.
Well, hopefully that'll be one of those for you. Yeah, That's
I mean, I'm digging the cover for the original one.
Yeah, Brie
I'm looking
Indigo
at it
does the
right now.
illustration. Melissa Carpiglione is the illustrator or colorist on that one. She's actually working on another book with myself and Ben Kahn, who's my co-host on my podcast and is also a comic book writer. And that one is called The Dashing School for Wayward Princes, which has been has been discussed. They've talked about it coming out, but it has not. We don't officially have a release date on that one yet. But I love that book. That's been in the pipeline for a long time.
It's at your website. That's where it comes up when I put it into Google.
Yeah, that'll be through Simon and Schuster when it does come out. Um,
Okay.
so there's a lot of other things coming up that I can't talk about yet, but I think those are the main ones I can talk about. Um, Yeah, aside from that, I've had some. I think they just released the trade of what is at this point the last or most recent of my My Little Pony stuff. And then I've got some. I wrote some stories for the miraculous Chibi book that Paper Cuts is putting out, which is
Okay.
a lot of fun. Those are very quick reads for an early reader audience. So um, they're told almost entirely without the need to read. So lots of emojis and stuff like that. Even
So
early readers can get through them.
that's actually a perfect segue to my next question. Um, though it's an odd segue that you got to go through my autistic brain. Um, you literally write for all ages. In fact, the last time that I meant to reach out and didn't manage to, um, it didn't feel quite as bad because I think I was actually the first person you talked to about it was when you were making the rounds when they reprinted the Cold Ever After, which is
Hmm.
your very much it's your not YA. You've got your YA, you've got your kids stuff, and this was your for more mature audiences, but
Uh,
not mature audiences. Um, so before we go to that book, which I'm certain will come to me when you talked about it, I haven't read it since before we talked the last time, and then we had to talk non-spoilery because it hadn't been released. It was the hey, look at this.
yeah, I always tell parents when people are searching my table, going through all the stuff, I'm like, oh, this one has guts and butts in it. Like
Yeah.
if you don't want your kids seeing blood and gore or sex, that's not the book for them.
Right.
Um,
Um, so like there are a handful of writers that go all right in all different ages. Alex DeCampi, Paul Tobin come to mind, where they've got their kids stuff, they've got their YA stuff, they've got their more adult stuff, and there are a handful of writers that really try to shoot for the actual all ages, where they're writing things that might be interesting to kids and
mhm.
certainly aren't objectionable to kids, but hopefully will be as interesting or more interesting to their parents. Um, so you tend to fall into the each of your books has a more specific audience. Um, is that just because it's easier to write that way? Is it because your head works that way? Do you let the publishers go, okay, you wrote this thing and we're now going to label it YA? How does that work?
Especially early on, it was something I thought a lot less about.
Okay.
Princeless is very much like the adventure is written, I think, with kids in mind, but a lot of the jokes are written with parents in mind. I like to think of it as sort of a Pixar model, like, that kids will enjoy it, but there's some things that only the parents will get in there or that will click more with the parents. Um, and that was very much my goal with Princeless. When I started writing Raven, I was like, I'm gonna write it a little more YA. Like this book is not for kids because we do want to have discussions about, sexuality in here. Um, that needs to be something we hit on. But I try to I try to let the book kind of decide. I want to tell different types of stories, and uh, some of them require sex and violence. And Cold Ever After is
Was it that
very
was
much
the subtitle of the Muppet Show?
yes, uh, sex and violence. Uh, yeah, and I try to. It's interesting because I feel like I write a lot in areas that people don't, and I often don't write in the areas that there are a lot of comics in. I remember after writing, you know, several volumes of Princeless and Unstoppable Wasp and everything, like in between the volumes of Wasp, I got a chance to write a Thor versus Hulk story, and I was like, I just remember going to my editor and being like, "Hey, this is a comic book where two big guys punch each other a lot. I've never written one of these before." Like, I don't, I mean, I know theoretically how they work, but I've never done it. Um, so that's one of those like unusual things, and I've got
Now,
there
did
there
you
are
wind up
definitely.
writing that and I need to go read it, or did you pass on it?
Oh, I ended up writing it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go find it.
It was a digital first Marvel comic. It is collected in paperback. It's called
Well,
Thor versus Hulk, Champions of the Universe.
I also have Marvel Unlimited, so if it was digital first, I have it.
Yep, it's there.
Because
Um,
as soon as you said Thor versus Hulk, I'm sitting there going, I can actually see ways that could work. When did you write this?
it was between volumes of Unstoppable Wasp, so
So
um,
would that be before Ragnarok?
it was
Does
it was
Taiki
actually coming out
Watiti
the
owe you
same
some
time
money?
that it was coming out the same time as Ragnarok, which is why they wanted to do a Hulk and Thor story.
Because I'm just thinking to myself that like the particular Thor Hulk relationship in Ragnarok feels like how I would imagine a Jeremy Whitley Thor Hulk story to be. If there's
Ragnarok is definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies. That's
yeah,
definitely one of those
we
ones
we
that
work
feels like
together.
something I
It's
would.
just like such a great line.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That one is fun because my sort of challenge with that was that I wanted to go like bigger every issue. Um,
right.
make them face something bigger because the idea of that story is that the champion of the universe is wants to fight the strongest hero on Earth. And I created a character for anybody who is a big wrestling fan. Uh, Big guys who are good at punching and not at talking often have a promoter to do the talking for them. And so I created a character who was the promoter, whose job was to do that part of the champion's gig to set things up. So she is setting Thor and Hulk against each other on a series of tasks to determine which of them gets to fight the champion. Um, and so they're bigger and bigger every time. Um, the first one being they end up on this, they're supposed to retrieve a frost giant's belt. And it turns out that this group of frost giants has been attacked by the brood. And so there is a frost giant sized brood that they have to fight. Um,
Okay.
and I was like, I'm gonna go with the biggest creature I can think of for the end of the first issue, and then just go bigger every issue. Um, So that was a lot of fun. It is still collected out there, and if people have Marvel Unlimited, they can go read it.
I'm
Yeah, it's the
and for
good
that
stuff.
matter, one I just saw that while I was looking for it that I'm gonna have to get myself caught up on Love Unlimited because I haven't gotten to your arc yet.
Oh, yeah, that's my Gwenpool story that inspired
Yeah.
the Aces and Aros anthology. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay. Where am I on Love Unlimited? Because my listeners totally want to know the answer to that question. Okay, I am right before the Hulkling Wiccan, so I'm about 20 issues away. Get there soon.
Well, it is they're all self-contained stories, so you can jump straight to Gwenpool if you want.
I
I would
can. I
say
can.
obviously there's plenty of good
I
other stuff in there.
my autistic OCD probably won't let me.
Totally understand that.
If I hadn't read any Love Unlimited yet, I could jump straight to Gwenpool.
Yeah.
But I'm already reading it and I'm not there yet.
Well, there's lots of good stuff in that series. I highly recommend Love
Yes, no,
Unlimited.
that's one of the reasons I'm already reading it is it's I think second to It's Jeff among my favorite of the Marvel Unlimited
Oh
scrolling
yeah.
books. And I
Both
hope you don't
those
take any offense to that because It's Jeff is just it's Jeff.
I
It's
can't argue with It's Jeff. I've read that one as well. Also, the Avengers Academy series that they're doing right now is
okay.
fantastic.
I'll have to look
Um,
at that.
yeah, absolutely. They get to I'm jealous of that book because that's something I've always wanted to do since I read the original Avengers Academy is just put together a group of, teen misfit superheroes and make them deal with school stuff in addition to having to deal with superhero stuff.
You mean like Spider-Man if he had classmates that were also, I mean, isn't that occasionally done?
Oh yeah. I mean
Didn't he have
the
like
current Spider-Man
gold
series.
balls in, wasn't that the name of one of his classmates once? The guy who could just make the gold balls. That was like his mutant superpower. I don't think he's been around in a while, but I feel
He
like
was
he
a
was in like Ultimate Spider-Man. He was like a classmate of Peter Parker's for a while, or was it a
he was a
Miles
big part
classmate?
of he was a big part of the Hickman X-Men
Was
Gold
he?
Balls. So yeah.
Oh, no. And then he went to work for Doge. Oh wait, no, that's Big Balls.
The true evil organization. All
I'm
right.
sorry. I knew I could get away with it because your podcast is horror movies and progressivism.
Yes.
We don't talk about the progressivism in our podcast. We just talk progressively. Though we have noticed that like at the very beginning of the podcast, we like made the decision that we weren't going to play that stick to comics game because among other
Mm,
things, comics have never actually been apolitical. Um,
nope.
but second, that like sometimes the things going in the world uh, meant that they should preempt whatever we had planned for comic stuff. And then this year came around and it's like, okay, we just reserved the third news bullet for what kind of week has it been? Two pieces of comic news and one roundup piece of what kind of hellscape is this reality? And when are the Fantastic Fours going to come fix the timeline? Because that's
Yeah.
clearly what it is.
I'm ready whenever they want to come.
It's clearly what it
I'm
is.
ready.
I mean, I will even trade my Cubs World Series victory if that's what it was. If we were supposed to lose game seven,
Seems
I'm
very
ready to give
likely.
it up. I'm ready to give it up. So, I got to teach in the morning, so I'm gonna skip to. Well, no, let's. I meant I want you to plug the cold ever after in case I remember questions to ask because I meant to have you do that before, and it's a nice graphic novel, so they're evergreen. People can always buy them, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit different for you.
Oh
It's
yeah.
got a lot of the same feel of your other work, but it's definitely like for older people with the same humor that they had when they were teenagers.
Yeah. It's about a woman who is raised to be basically the champion of this kingdom, is the greatest fighter in the land. Uh, but falls in love with the queen and has an illicit affair with the queen and ends up getting booted from the country, has to, go into exile. But the queen shows up one day on the island she's been exiled to and says, look, the princess has disappeared. Nobody knows what's happened to her. Uh, she's supposed to be getting married in 7 days, and if we don't find her, the guy she's supposed to be marrying is going to burn down the whole kingdom. So you're the only person I trust to fix this. And so she gets thrown back into this sort of pit of vipers that is the court there. And so
Because she is just that good of a person. Because I do remember reading, as soon as you said it that way, I remembered, you know, she would be so justified in just saying, fuck you.
yeah, and basically does until like she's like, actually, it's
it
the
could have
princess
been
is
a
in trouble.
five-page story, and then it's like, but they wouldn't have published that.
Yeah.
Though I'd love to see that sometime. It'd have to be like the Vanity Project, where you build up that thing, and then it ends on page 5, and there's just like 100 blank pages. You figure out what comes next.
Yeah.
This is how it worked.
Yeah, and in
No,
her case,
I'm
she
not
only ends
coming
up
back.
coming she only ends up coming along because, the princess is the one in danger. She basically raised her like her own kid. Um,
Right. No, I'm remembering that. You threw that in where she actually had a relationship with the princess. It wasn't just she was around and banging mom. It was she was like mom two, actually more like mom one, but
yeah. Better at actually caring for the kid than her own mom was. And
right.
definitely better than her dad was. The king is kind of useless. Um,
Which, I mean, that could have been the other twist. It could have turned out that the princess was just on the island with her the whole time. She went searching for her and couldn't find her and said, I'm sorry, the kingdom's just going to have to go bye-bye. And then went back to the island, and she and the princess had banana splits.
yeah. I mean, that's
That's the sequel
basically we just
right
need
there. I just fed you the sequel.
yeah, just write a whole series of 5-page ways to avoid all of this conflict. 5-page outs.
Okay. Now we will go to my favorite final question. Tell me something you love, preferably a comic, but we don't have rules. Um, Preferably storytelling, but again, the rules thing, we don't have them. Something that you love that not enough people around you have experienced, and you need them to because you need more people to talk to about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been reading for various reasons a lot of manga recently.
Okay.
Um, and I just finally got my library to get the second volume of a manga that's called this is a mouthful. The guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. Um, which is about a girl who uh a Japanese teenage girl who loves like 90s American rock music, who loves like grunge music, and gets a develops a crush on the cool guy who works at the rock store there in
Hot
town.
Topic, the Japanese version of Hot
Well, more
Topic.
like more like Empire Records.
Okay,
Um,
even better. That that
yeah,
that I like that. That way better. Not
yeah,
even better. Way better.
yeah. Who wears like
Empire.
wears a mask
See,
and has
that's
a
a
little
great movie.
ponytail. Yeah, absolutely. So she develops a crush on this guy, who turns out not to be a guy at all, but in fact one of her female classmates, and they end up sort of hitting it off and becoming friends, but she is interested in a lot more. Sort of the popular girl falls for the nerdy girl over this their shared interest in grunge music.
Okay.
Which like I love this book. It's a lot of fun. It's like both an entertaining read and also the characters are super sweet and super fun to read. Um, but it also feels like this cultural Ouroboros of like I'm reading this Yuri manga designed for, teenage Japanese girls about teenage Japanese girls who love 90s grunge music, which was made for me. And then, you know, it's me going, "Oh yeah, that's really good. You should check that out." Oh yeah, yeah. I just, find myself like nodding at the pages of like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's great. You should check that. Listen to that music." But uh yeah, that one's a lot of fun. It's been that one and the other big one I've been reading recently is She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat, which is just a cute romance comic, but is also a like cooking manga. So you get little recipes in there as well as just having a,
She,
a cute.
she loves to cook and she loves to eat.
Mhm.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, there are 5 or 6 volumes of that uh out now, and that also has a prominent asexual lesbian character. So it all ties together.
Yeah, it all comes around. You brought up Empire Records, and I can't ever hear about Empire Records without. Did you know? And like he only directed like a dozen movies, and you've heard of almost none of the other ones. Well, you might have heard of them. I don't know. I've heard of almost none of the other ones. But the same guy, Alan Moyle, directed Empire Records and Pump Up the Volume.
Yep. I saw Empire Records well before I saw Pump Up the Volume, strangely. Um,
Yeah, I think I did too. Because but for me, it was because I was 10 when Pump Up the Volume came out, and I was 15 when Empire Records came out.
yeah.
So I was right in the wheelhouse to see Empire Records. And then I discovered Pump Up the Volume, which is obscenely good, and it's really annoying that like it's hard to manage to watch anymore unless you have your DVD player set up because every once in a while it'll be on one of the premium channels and therefore on their streaming services, but it's not like available to purchase digitally anywhere. Or sometimes it'll pop up on YouTube for a while until somebody goes, "Hey, we got to take that down." I essentially own a DVD player for Pump Up the Volume. That's what I'm really saying here.
Yeah, we had the same experience on Progressively Horrified with 28 Days Later. It wasn't available streaming anywhere for a while.
Yeah.
Um, Now I believe it is because they're getting ready to put out the third in their trilogy. But yeah, for a while
Yeah,
you
my
just
son
couldn't
was
watch
saying that he
28 Days
was
Later.
planning on going to see that this week. So that's the only reason I knew that. Is that it looks like the first book you recommended is on Manga Dex. I knew Manga Dex,
Hmm.
but it also looks like that scans. But it comes up when I Google it. So I was hoping it was a Viz because I have both of their apps. We're currently racing each other through One Piece. So Tyler and I are
Ah,
both like 500 some odd chapters into One Piece at this point. So we're almost to that halfway point.
I am intimidated by One Piece. I'm too intimidated to start
And
it because there's too much of it.
yeah, and see that's why we decided to race rather than make it something that we were like featuring every week. Um, but like when we heard that they were entering the last arc and that there was a planned ending now, it's like let's see if we can get there before they get there, just for the hell of it,
Hmm.
while doing all of the other reading that we do.
That's a challenge. I didn't read much manga for a long time until sort of in the last year. Um, I sort of fell down this hole of like I watched I watched a movie let's see there was a anime that was on um it was on Amazon um,
Okay.
called um, oh dang it! Hold on, I can't. Let me see if I can find this book. Uh, okay, so the anime and the book that it's based on is called Look Back.
Oh, I love that.
Incredible,
I love that book.
yeah, incredible. And it's about making comics and
Right.
about making manga. And like I watched the anime of it first on Amazon, which is incredible. It's almost panel for panel adaptation of the book. Uh, and then I watched the same writer made another book called Goodbye Eri, which is also incredible. And they also made another small book called Chainsaw Man. Um,
Yeah. A
and
little,
so
little.
yeah, you might have heard of it.
Yeah.
And so then I started reading Chainsaw Man, and then I started reading a bunch of other manga because I got really into Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
But that and Kaiju number 8 is the other one that I am like actually caught up on that's currently coming out. Um, but yeah, those two, and then the two I recommended, and then I'm currently in the middle of Spy X Family.
Heard good
Um,
things about that too. Haven't
it's a
started
lot of
that.
fun.
I've been we've been racing through One Piece. Um, we read each volume of Asadora when it comes out, so we're up to date on that. I love me some Rumika Takahashi, but I'm behind on Mao. Um, I love Inio Asano, so I'm up to date on his new book, Magina in the Deep, I think is what it's called,
Hmm.
which is it's on Viz, but it's web only because it's Magina into the Deep because it's very much adult only.
Gotcha.
Essentially, it's like this. Uh, I wish I could say completely dystopic rather than altogether too realistic possible future where you can sell and or be stripped of your rights to be a human, and that makes you a Mujina. And the downside of this is that like anybody can do anything to you because you're not no longer considered human. But the upside of this is that it's also been declared that you're not subject to the court systems, so you can do any illicit profession you want, including
Hmm.
assassins. So it's like many of them are these crazy wild assassins because they can't go to prison. They don't exist.
Interesting.
Um, and Inio Asano, he did a book called Goodnight Pun Pun that's just dark but beautiful and
Yeah.
got me hooked on. That was the one that got me hooked on manga. Is like I saw that listed on enough people's favorite comics lists that weren't favorite manga lists. It was like all of these comics that I knew and loved, and Goodnight Pun Pun, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go check this out.
Well, if you haven't read Kaiju number 8, that is on the Viz app.
That's
That's Naoya
Yep.
Matsumoto.
I I
Um,
I I pulled it up already and
it's
have
very I've
yeah,
been
it
reading
looks
those
cool.
and also Berserk, which is a hard
Yeah,
one to recommend to
that's
anybody because it is a difficult book, but it
it,
is
it's on my list.
beautiful.
It was one it's another one that got listed at this part in the episode recently. I forget who told me to read Berserk, but somebody recently told me to read Berserk. So it's available on Hoopla, so I can get it with my library card.
Yep.
That's always a bonus.
Three volumes a month. Uh,
Right.
yeah. Berserk, I would say it's a beautiful fantasy book. Like the illustration is great. It does include a significant amount of sexual assault. So like
Yes.
if that is a trigger for
Yes.
people, I would not
Yes.
recommend it. It is
Yes. We
explicitly
we
so.
should we should toss out that trying to remember if there's anything that's specifically sexual assault and Magina into the deep, but there's definitely all sorts of possible triggering things. These are dark, dark books.
Yeah.
But if you sometimes enjoy dark, dark books, they're very good dark, dark. Um,
Yeah.
so Jeremy, it's always a pleasure. I can't wait to
Absolutely.
read Aces and Arrows. Everybody who hasn't already should go to Kickstarter and back Aces and Arrows. Um, you're at 1,003 backers now,
Yes. And we've got
and $2,500 away from your $50,000 stretch goal. So like it's already fully funded. When you back it, you know you'll be getting a comic.
yeah.
But
I can tell
there's
you
some
almost
cool
all of the
stuff.
comic is already it's all already written. It's almost all already drawn.
Yeah, and
And
there's some very very nice preview images on Kickstarter pages. I was flipping through them. It looks so much fun. Um, a good way to learn about Ace and Asexual, and it looks like a lot of different comic styles. So like
absolutely.
for those of you listening who are still learning about comics, hi mom again. Um, it's a good way to go, ooh, I like this, or I don't like that, or oh, comics can be this, all of that stuff. That's one of the other reasons I like a good anthology is well, I mean, sometimes they're themed by art style, but like a lot of the times when they're themed by subject matter, you wind up getting a lot of different art slash storytelling styles, and it's kind of cool to see how different people envision their stories and build their pages, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
And all of the stuff in here is all ages appropriate because we want to be able to reach as wide an audience as possible so people can see themselves and see other types of people that maybe they don't know about in there. So, you
yeah.
don't have to worry about you know, there being stuff in here that's in Berserk. Um,
No,
anybody can
you
read
do
this.
possibly have to worry about Republicans, but I mean, we have to worry about them with everything.
Yeah. Republicans and J.K. Rowling, they don't like us. So all the more
That's
reason why
true.
you should support us.
Yes. Yes. It's a active resistance. Buy one for yourself, buy one for your local library. If your local library doesn't want it, there's this thing you can do that actually librarians sometimes love and the people who like hate libraries sometimes don't notice. You can buy the book and just accidentally leave it on the shelf.
Yep. You can donate
So,
and you can I mean I'm sure there'll be plenty of stuff in there that you want to read. So
yeah.
you're welcome.
So, but yeah, and just because I like to throw out prices really quick, you can get in on the PDFs for as low. Well, you can get it the indie comic bundle for $1. 5 digital indie comics. That's just a cool deal. Period. So, but you
Yeah,
can
that
get
comes with all the other packages as well. So
the Aces and Arrows you can get for $15 digitally or $30 for the soft cover. Or if you're like me and want lots of stuff, you can get the bundle with multiple anthologies together. That was the one that I jumped on because
yeah.
they all looked good, and I'm like, I want to read that, and I want to read that, and I want to read that. This is the way to do it. So,
Yep, it's enough to
Jeremy, I feel
keep
like
you
we're
very
both
busy.
getting tired and losing our entire momentum all at once. So I'm gonna say thank you again so much for joining us. You're welcome back anytime. I do every time you send out one of those emails saying, "Hey, I'm free to talk." Mean to immediately respond to you, and sometimes I forget. So like if you ever don't have enough people responding, remember that you can like beat me upside the head and say, "Hey, Tat."
All right.
I'll respond to that. Um, but otherwise, it's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this book. And for 22 panels, we will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.